Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from The Federalist. This is dated September 11th. It says the left has never been held accountable for political violence, and that must change. And you can see the picture here. You know exactly what we would be talking, or what we're going to be talking about today, about Charlie Kirk's assassination. So let's go ahead and see what this is. And I have not read this article myself, but kind of seems like a little timely given circumstances. It says, violence has long been woven into the fabric of the American left, and until we honestly reckon with that, a bleak political future awaits. It's by Mark Hemingway. He is actually the husband of the editor-in-chief, I believe she is, of the site, Molly Hemingway, who's written, where did that word come from? She's written a number of books, but let's go ahead and get into it. He says, yesterday, I was writing a piece on the tragic killing of Irina Zarutska down in Charlotte that has captured national attention. Before I could finish, news came down the beloved conservative activist Charlie Kirk had been shot at a university in Utah. I've been covering politics for a long time, and I can't say I've ever had a story about politically charged violence preempted by even more political violence, nor do I ever want to see this happen again. But I was doing my best to Kubler-Ross my way through this. I don't know what that means, but okay, because I've met Kirk and generally thought highly of him, but I didn't really snap until I saw Obama put out a statement. And yeah, that's when you know it's like someone who probably doesn't really give a crap. But let's see what Obama said. Because we don't know yet what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, and as I record this, I can tell you that now we do. But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children. He says, we don't know yet what motivated. He says, yeah, I'm sorry, but we certainly know what the results of left-wing rhetoric are, and Barack Obama is living proof of that. I seemingly cannot talk right now. I'm going to do my best to rectify that before the end of this video. He says, plug into the matrix with me for a moment. As I was writing the aforementioned aborted story about the problems of law and order in America, I was reminded that, as part of a national political project to elect progressive district attorneys led by billionaire and Democrat megadonor George Soros, because his name's everywhere, folks. In 2020, San Francisco elected Chesa Boudin as its district attorney. Boudin was a soft-on-crime disaster as DA. Indeed, his entire campaign for the office was dedicated to issues such as bail reform and reducing incarceration. He was recalled by voters before he could finish his term. Yeah, and if you don't know who he... it's going to go into it in this next paragraph. We just kind of scanned ahead really quick. If you don't know who he is, well, I guess we're about to go into it. It says, but it's remarkable he was ever elected in the first place when you consider Boudin's history. And I'm not sure I'm saying his last name right, but he's a commie, and you're about to find out why I'm saying that, and I don't really care. It says, Boudin is the son of Weather Underground members Kathy Boudin and David Gilbert. If you don't know what the Weather Underground was, you should go look it up. This was a communist revolutionary movement from the 1970s that killed a bunch of people. So it says he's the son of Weather Underground members Kathy Boudin and David Gilbert. They both ended up in jail after participating in a 1981 Brinks truck robbery with the Black Liberation Army, another communist group, that resulted in the deaths of 2 cops and a security guard, as Chesa was just 14 months old at the time of the robbery. Aside from the Brinks robbery, the Weather Underground was best known as one of the many left-wing groups that committed a series of terrorist attacks throughout the 70s. During an 18-month period in 1971 and 1972, the FBI reported more than 2,500 bombings on U.S. soil, nearly 5 a day, observes Brian Burrow, author of the indispensable book on post-60s left-wing violence called Days of Rage. And I've seen that, and I've kind of always wanted to read it. I maybe one day I'll grab that. It says, blessedly, almost all of these bombings did not result in death, but far too many did. That I didn't know, and I mean, yeah, I guess I agree with that. Just thankfully, it didn't seem like very many people were killed. Unfortunately, those people were. It says, normally, I don't bother foisting the sins of the parents on the child, except in this case, years before he ever contemplated running for public office, back when Chesa Boudin was merely red-diapered royalty fresh off being a Rhodes Scholar, he wrote an insufferably indulgent memoir that I was, thankfully, paid to read. Yeah, I wouldn't want to read anything he'd written unless I was paid to read it. It says, but despite being totally unimpressed with his writing, I'm sure he earned that Rhodes Scholarship, because when has academia ever rewarded violent left-wing radicals for no defensible reason? Oh, right, they're still doing it even now. And what is this link to? It says Cambridge University. Oh, Angela Davis, yeah. If you don't know who she is, go look it up. And then go look up, she did that program that was like they look up your heritage and like where your ancestors came from. So go look up who she is, and then it's that show with Henry Louis Gates, and then go look that up if you want to see what, I guess, karma is. That's a very good version of that. It says, anyway, if you read Budin's book, you'll find that he accepts the notion that his parents were political prisoners, and he is of the opinion certainly violence is illegitimate when it targets civilians or intends to cause generalized or widespread fear, but my parents never did either of those. Yes, because killing a bunch of people in a truck robbery is not violence, but okay. So as far as Budin was concerned, it's okay to kill cops because they're not civilians. They are. They're part of the racist capitalist system or something. It says, where the poor security guard who Budin's parents had a hand in murdering sits in the hierarchy of oppression is beyond me. And I doubt even Chesa Budin knows. It says, if you're wondering how Budin came to think like this, well, his parents aren't entirely to blame. Yeah, remember, they were in prison. It says, Kathy Budin wasn't paroled until her son was out of college, and his dad wasn't let out of jail until then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo gave him clemency in 2021. Why? Who the hell knows? It says, because his parents were in jail, Chesa Budin was adopted and raised by his parents' friends and fellow Weather Underground terrorists Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn. By the way, Bill Ayers teaches at Northwestern, which is in Evanston, which is about, a half an hour from me. So yeah, and you're about to find out I'm pretty sure this is going to an actual connection. I just saw it. That it's going to tell you the actual connection between Bill Ayers and a certain former president of the United States whose name rhymes with Barack Obama. It says, now Dorn was famous for being especially radical. Aside from her violent and traitorous deeds, she's perhaps best known for a speech she gave at a radical event known as the Flint War Council, where she defended the Manson family, Because if you're going to defend anybody, that would be who. It says, dig it, she famously said. First they killed those pigs, then they ate dinner in the same room with them. They even shoved a fork into the victim's stomach. Wild. It says, Burrow goes on to note that most of the crowd responded by raising their hands in four-finger salutes, signifying the fork shoved into the pregnant Sharon Tate's belly. So, great person you have there. Definitely a morally upstanding citizen. It says, now there's much that could be said about Ayers' own violent and traitorous deeds with the Weather Underground, but at this point, he's best known for launching the political career of, wait for it, Barack Obama. In fact, Chesa Budin would have been 14 or 15 when his adoptive parents held an event at their house to help launch his political career. The two men had a close working relationship centered around the community at the University of Chicago and shared much of the same worldview, despite the fact the Obama campaign lied about the nature of their relationship. In fact, books have been written about how Obama lied and obscured his past radicalism, and the media were enthusiastically complicit in helping him. Yeah, they still think Barack Obama was like, this pristine, no scandals type president. And if you just look a little bit under the surface, you're going to be like, oh, this dude was there were scandals. There were quite a few, actually. So it said, back to the article as I stammer over my words, says, which all brings me back to Obama's disingenuous statement that we don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. At this point, what does it matter? Obama did not think consorting with violent, unrepentant terrorists was disqualifying. Obama certainly knew what motivated Ayers and Dorn, and it did not trouble him. Nor is Ayers the only left-wing terrorist Obama has excused. And what's this linked to? I don't know. Was it Oscar Lopez? I don't know who that is. Anyway, it says, but now, when the cold-blooded assassination of a leader on the right threatens to be an impediment to implementing the progressive political program that Obama and Ayers largely share, that's called communism. It says, Obama is confused about what may have motivated this and wants you to know that violence is bad. Yeah, he doesn't care. It says, anyway, I am done, in capital D-O-N-E. It says, if you have ever excused or condoned violence or knowingly consorted with those who have, and I don't care one whit if you're someone as lofty as Barack Obama, you need to be driven from polite society. I will happily engage in the ritual malediction of saying that the call to ostracize obviously extends to forces on the political right. Except I do so knowing that no matter how much corrupt Democrat leaders cook the stats to pretend right-wing violence is a serious threat, nothing the right has ever done comes close to setting off 5 bombs a day for 18 months straight, proceeding to terrorize the country for more than a decade, and then electing new generations of politicians that knowingly excuse this insane level of nonsense. And what is this linked to? I don't know. I can't tell what that is down there. Anyway, it says, after January 6th, Democrats and their allies did everything from raiding the former president's home on dubious pretext to algorithmically shutting off the ad revenue of any right-of-center publications they perceived as enabling Trump to kicking thousands of ordinary citizens off of social media. They corrupted the judicial system to the max to deal with rioters at the Capitol. Many J6 defendants were given harsher sentences for nonviolent crimes than the prosecution asked for. And this came after Democrats not only refused to prosecute violent rioters following the mass destruction in the summer of 2020, they gave out $80 million of settlements to rioters who encountered police as a way of rewarding the left-wing agitators they viewed as useful in undermining Trump's re-election chances. It's hard to escape the fact that encouraging violence, unequal justice, and repression is just another tool in the left's political toolbox. Well, it has led to this. A good man, a father, a patriot has been killed. He did what you're supposed to do in America if you want to create political change. Go out and earnestly debate people. Don't hide your beliefs. Be as honest and public about your attempts to persuade people as you can. That is the essence of democracy, is it not? And Kirk, who did not hold office and had no power beyond what's given to him as a citizen, was so good at exercising his democratic rights that they had to stop him with a ballot, not with a ballot, but with a bullet. It's hard to imagine where the future of political debate goes from here. The constant and disingenuous refrains about incipient fascism from the left are hard to swallow as legitimate complaints. Instead, they sound a lot like justifications for the force they planned on using against their perceived enemies all along. Bingo! And nor can the denunciations of violence from the left's elder statesmen such as Obama be regarded as sincere. Before Kirk, Democrats in power enabled assassination attempts on Supreme Court justices by deliberately refusing to enforce the law to protect their homes. Yeah, you can say that was about the Kavanaugh. Yep, I just wanted to do that into a CNN link to a CNN article there. It says it was unsurprising that enabling the same evil forces resulted in 2 attempts at assassinating Donald Trump. They succeeded in killing an American hero, Core Comparatore. And at no point has there been a responsible reconsideration of tactics and rhetoric among the media or Democrat office holders. The left wants to regain power and will use the nearest weapon at hand, literally. I do not want to live in a society where half the country simply uses whatever power is available to them to go after the other half. I do not believe the average Democrat voter believes that successfully engaging in good faith debates on college campuses warrants death. But, and I am hardly alone here, I am increasingly concerned that there are forces on the left that cannot be debated. They must be made to feel pain until they stop. I pray that this can be done within the bounds of the law and the Constitution. Not that the left has much cared about those restraints. If that seems like a bleak future for American politics, well, that's because watching one of America's most promising young leaders die in front of your eyes is pretty damn bleak. We survived a civil war, and I pray for everyone involved in American politics that understanding and forgiveness will once again be this country's guiding lights. But I am also reminded that there are times when vengeance is necessary and just, and millions of Americans will not stand for Kirk's death to be in vain. Another very good article about Charlie Kirk's assassination, murder, killing, whatever you want to call it, because it is all those things. And even just seeing his picture here is like, it's tough. And again, as someone, I think I said this in my video yesterday, where I didn't really listen to him besides seeing like some of these clips on college campuses. But I knew what he meant to conservatives and the movement. And yeah, something needs to be done with legally, okay, stay within the bounds of the law. And I'm just kind of stumbling for words at this point, so I think I'll just end it here. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.